Global governance on security is at crossroads again. The coronavirus still lurks. The Ukraine crisis has lasted for more than a year, driving up not only geopolitical tensions, but also inflation in many economies and disruption to the global supply chain. Regional tensions keep flaring up, worsening the deficits in peace and development. Many are warning that the world is faced with security challenges never seen before.
So what is the status quo, and why does the existing security architecture continue to be challenged? Can China proposed GSI, the Global Security Initiative, help achieve security for all? And hopefully this forum, hosted by CGTN and the Institute for a Community with a Shared Future at Communication University of China, could provide some clarity about these most pressing issues.
And for more insight, joining us here in the studio are Mr. Zhou Bo, Senior Colonel at the Center for International Strategy and Security at Tsinghua University, Mr. Victor Gao, Vice Chairman of Center for China and Globalization, Mr. Marco Fernandes, a Brazilian researcher at the Tricontinental Institute for Social Research.
And we're also pleased to be joined by a video link by Mr. Rick Dunham, a veteran Washington journalist and co-director of Global Business Journalism Program at Tsinghua University. We also have Mr. Jean-Christophe Bass, CEO and founder of the French think tank Connectors for Peace. Dr. Varuna Chandrakirti, principal of Eastern School of Political Studies in Sri Lanka, and Mr. Khalid Taimur Akram, executive director of Pakistan Research Center for a Community with a Shared Future. Thank you so much for joining us on our forum.
Mr. Akram, earlier we were talking about the global south, and Mr. Gao also emphasized that war or peace is a choice for us all on this planet. But I really want to talk about non-traditional security challenges and its impacts on the global south or the developing countries. How pressing is the issue, and how important is China's GSI to deal with all those non-traditional security challenges? Because the very first commitment made by the GSI is staying committed to the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative and sustainable security.
Yes, thank you very much. I totally agree with Professor Dr. Victor Gao, whatever he has said. And before going to the non-traditional security threat aspect, I would just like to add one thing over here, because I belong to a country which is mostly affected from terrorism since last 20 years. So if we talk about the performance of United States and NATO countries in this part of the world, we have seen what they have done in Afghanistan. Once the Americans and the NATO forces, they invaded Afghanistan in 2001, after 9/11, there were only 2 terrorist organizations in Afghanistan. But once they left in 2021, on 15th August 2021, they had left 44 terrorist organizations in Afghanistan. So I totally agree with this notion that Americans, wherever they have gone, they have left a legacy, they have left a mark which has affected not only that country, but also the neighboring countries. As you know, that Pakistan had been suffering a lot from terrorism, and more than 80,000 people have died since last 15-16 years. And now this is the time that the countries must look forward towards this GSI, which the Chinese President Xi Jinping has suggested to the failed Security Council of the United Nations, because we have seen that the Security Council would only take up those matters which they would like to take up, and otherwise they do not take up the matters. We have seen the issue of Palestine, we have seen the issue of Kashmir, the occupied Kashmir, and we have seen, you have just shown the amount of defense spending which India has started doing. So now coming over to the non-traditional security threats, I totally agree with this thing that the non-traditional security threats are affecting our region, especially the Eurasian region. We have seen the climate change. Last summer, Pakistan was again one of the most affected countries from the climate change. And I personally feel that this global security initiatives would greatly help the countries in coming together on the non-traditional security threats like food security, climate change, and other affectees. Personally feel that the GSI would not only create a conducive environment for all the countries, but it is a vision in which the countries can sit together and talk about it. Very recently, we have seen a great model given by Chinese, again by the Chinese initiative, which is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which has proved out to be a very, very successful model in this part of the world. And because of that model, we have seen countries coming together. And now I think that because of this GSI, the countries would again sit together and talk about it and implement it.
Right. Although this is called a global security initiative, but China is not seeking dominance through such an initiative. And let's also remember, China is the world's largest developing country. And talking about the need and demands for the developing world in all. So, Mr. Akram, what do you make of the methodology you're expecting from the GSI? Because we know Pakistan is also a major developing country.
Yes, let me first give you the example of Belt and Road Initiative. Actually, once the Belt and Road Initiative it started, many of the Western countries and Western media, it propagated that it is a way that China will colonize the world. So, but eventually after 10 years, we saw that China did not colonize the world, but China helped the world in development, in making infrastructure. So now, yes, GSI, as the other speakers said, that GSI is the most least reported news in the media, especially in the Western media. This needs to be worked on, and this needs to be spread in various parts of the world, not only through English media, but through other regional medias and through various languages. Pakistan is a developing country, and Pakistan is very much part of the Belt and Road Initiative, because we have the flagship project CPAC. And let me share over here with the audience that because of the CPAC in last 7-8 years, we have seen an immense change in the livelihood of the people. The road infrastructure throughout the country has immensely improved. Skilled labor has got lots of opportunities for the jobs. So the CPAC has come to Pakistan as a blessing, and we consider that because of the CPAC now, we are also connected to the landlocked countries of the Central Asia. Although we are neighbors with Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and with other landlocked countries since long. But since last 30 years, ever since these countries got independence from former Soviet Union, we did not had any kind of road link with them. But now the road link is developed thanks to the Belt and Road corridors and the CPAC. So this GSI is very much important, not only for Pakistan, but also for this region, because we know that Afghanistan is a place which is a flashpoint, not only for Pakistan, but also for rest of the world. We have seen the failed American and NATO policy in Afghanistan, but at the same time, we have seen China playing a very decisive role, because ever since the Taliban government has come into power in Afghanistan, China has been playing the role of stabilization. Chinese role is not only acknowledged by people in Pakistan, but I have been talking to various Afghan leaders and Afghan think tanks. They also acknowledge the role of China in the post 15th August 2021 scenario. So the global security initiatives will not only bring peace to this region, but will also be a win-win situation, especially talking about Afghanistan, because for us right now, not only for us, but for China and for all the Central Asian countries, the major flashpoint remains of Afghanistan. And unfortunately, since last 2 years, we have seen that United Nations has not played any kind of role in stabilizing the situation of Afghanistan. So this GSI can act as a stabilizer, because if we see the 6 parts of this GSI, one of the most important part which I consider is that stay committed to respecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all the countries. this is very, very important, because if we only take this part, it means that China considers sovereignty of all the countries very, very important, which unfortunately is not considered important by a few of the Western countries. So I strongly hope that GSI can play a stabilizing role for Afghanistan and can bring peace in South Asia.
Yeah, well, countries around the world are now watching out for the specifics and the implementation of the GSI. And in the government work report just delivered during China's most important political season of the year, authorities say that China stands ready to work with the international community to put this concept paper into action.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you all for your insights. As states vie for their interest in a rapidly evolving geopolitical climate, we need to recognize that all those issues are best addressed through cooperation and dialogue.
Well, Chinese President Xi Jinping said countries around the world are like passengers aboard the same ship who share the same destiny. We need to work together to maintain peace and stability in the world.
And that's where, why, and how the Global Security Initiative comes to its making.
And we'd like to thank our panel for sharing their insights with us. As security and development go hand in hand, so CGTN will host another forum on the world's most pressing development issues and the possibilities China has to offer. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.